Good evening, and welcome to the Owensboro Board of Commissioners regular meeting, August 15, 2017. At this time, I will ask the city clerk, Beth Cecil, to call the roll, please.
Commissioner Jay Vallata,
Present.
Commissioner Larry Conder,
Here.
Mayor Tom Watson,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bob Glenn,
Here.
Commissioner Pam Smithwright.
Here.
Okay, at this time, we'll have the invocation and pledge allegiance to the flag. I'll ask Commissioner Glenn to please lead us in those.
Please bow with me in prayer or silent meditation, whichever is your practice. Dear Heavenly Father, we gather tonight in the people's house. We gather tonight in the midst of living in a country of bounty and plenty and prosperous, living in a safe community. But Lord, on a national level, there's a lot of discord, there's a lot of unhappiness. We seem to have forgotten that under you, we are all God's children. It doesn't matter what our race, our creed, our economic status is. And Lord, help us as a nation, a community, and a world to realize and recognize that fact so that events that occurred in Charlottesville and Durham and are happening globally due to ISIS and terrorism in places like the Philippines, and of course the threat of violence with North Korea, abate, Lord, under your power and your pressure and the mercy that you provide. And Lord, finally, we want to imbue the leaders at the national, the state, and even in this chamber tonight with the wisdom and the ability to forge good solutions that work for the people, Lord. And we also finally want to thank all of our great city and county personnel that make our city so worthwhile to live in, our police, our fire, our sanitation, our parks and recreation, and our public works. All the great things they do to make Owensboro one of the greatest places to live. Lord, we thank you for these blessings. In Jesus' name, amen. And now the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of
the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome, everyone. Next item on the agenda is the Mayor's Award of Distinction. And there's a lot of things being mayor, not much fun. This one's a fun one. So if you'll allow me to read a little publicity for these folks. Tanner West, an advertising and design agency based in Owensboro, won 2 Ohio Valley Chapter Regional Emmys Awards Saturday night at the 53rd Annual Award Ceremony held in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, Event Center outside Cincinnati, Ohio. Jason Terry received an Emmy in the lighting category for a video produced for a TV spot for State Representative Matt Caslin's campaign. The spot was filmed on location in Matt Caslin's welding shop in Daviess County and shows Caslin welding steel while his recorded voiceover introduces himself to the voters. For Tanner West's second trip to the podium, Jason Tanner and David Grinnell received an Emmy in the commercial category for a TV spot produced for Glenn Family Services called Between the Lines. The storyline for Between the Lines portrays one couple's love story spanning 60 years, which required using a full cast, wardrobe coordinator, and set design, plus special effects. So it's my pleasure at this time to certify that Tanner West has been awarded this certificate of recognition for outstanding achievement, August 15, 2017, in Owensboro, Kentucky.
Jason Tanner, 2744 Hillbrook Parkway. Mayor, thank you for having us tonight. It is an honor to be here. It's an honor for David and myself and the rest of the crew at Tanner West. Tanner West is 9 people that we have an ad agency here in Owensboro. And we feel fortunate to get to do the work that we love to do every day here in this city. We love this city. We want to live here. And we're grateful for the opportunity to produce stuff that our region feels is worthy of an Emmy. Tonight with me are the reasons I do what I do. It's my family, my wife Natalie, and my 4 kids, Levi, Lydia, Ella, and Ethan, my in-laws. Yeah, there's my wife. And David brought his family. I'll let him talk. He doesn't talk much, so he may not do that. But thanks for letting us be here tonight. Thanks for the recognition. And we just feel fortunate to be in this position. May never happen again, but it's really cool that it did happen.
You set the standard now, man. You got to be coming back.
Thank you.
My name's David Grinnell. I live at 733 Christopher Greenup Drive. It's just a crazy thing for us to be in a small town and to be able to create something that could possibly be on a national level. And I think it goes a long way to show the environment that the city of Owensboro has created for small business that allows us to be creative where we are. And that means a lot to us because this is a wonderful area to raise a family in. And I brought my daughter Harper and my wife Sarah and my mother-in-law. She's here too. But once again, thank you for recognizing us, and it means a lot to us.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is Women's Equality Day Proclamation. City of Owensboro Proclamation. Whereas the women of the United States have been treated as second-class citizens and have not been entitled to the full rights and privileges, public or private, legal or institutional, which are available to male citizens of the United States. And whereas the women of the United States have united to assure that these rights and privileges are available to all citizens equally, regardless of sex. And whereas on this day, 1920, women of America were first given the right to vote. And whereas the observance of Women's Equality Day not only commemorates the passage of the 19th Amendment, but also calls attention to women's continuing efforts toward full equality. Now, therefore, I, Thomas H. Watson, Mayor of the City of Owensboro, do hereby proclaim August 26, 2017 as Women's Equality Day in Owensboro, and do here recognize the importance of this event. Now, Bob wanted me to give this to a certain individual, and I chose to have this framed and hung in City Hall for all women and not just for one individual. So I think it's, without my wife, there's no telling what ditch I'd be in. So I understand the importance of it. So we will hang this up in City Hall and to recognize Women's Equality Day. Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda, World Changers Report. Abby Shelton.
Mayor and Commissioners, thank you so much for letting me come to you tonight to talk about one of the most favorite parts of my job, and that's to get to work with the World Changers. This year I have a really short report, and then I will show you a video that our video department had put together for me and to view on Channel 75. And I think pictures speak better than words, so I'll go quickly through this and then we'll watch the video. This year we had about 200 volunteers come from 8 different states. We had 11 church youth groups come in and actually help out with the volunteers, and 1,100 meals were served. And each day we had local volunteers from the Davis McLean Baptist Association come in and serve those meals, and that was about 225 extra volunteers on our side from our city. So what do we put into the project? We have a total investment this year of about $16,500, and to date we've invested about $230,000, but the total economic impact of everything that we did this year returned about $76,000 for the 14 households that were able to be rehabbed on the exterior with these volunteers that came in. So we pay for the materials, and they put the labor towards making a difference in these people's lives. So today the economic impact is just over $901,000. So I think it's a pretty good return on investment. For the average free labor per home is about $3,800 average each year. So they only did 14 homes this year because they didn't have as many volunteers come in, but we do have a very successful partnership, and I look forward to them coming back next year. Any questions?
Had a little bad weather a couple of days too, didn't it?
It's normal. They usually have that. It's usually a little bit warm, humid, warm.
Thought it rained that day. I was
And
supposed to go out
rain
there.
comes and goes. Yes, it does, sir. You're exactly right.
Okay.
But
Let's see.
they roll with the punches. So,
Let's
Yes.
see the video.
Commissioner.
Mayor, if I could ask a question, please.
Sure.
Abby, the participants who wish to have something done or participate in the program, what requirements, do they have to have any type of necessary requirements in order to, for next year? To get
Sure.
on a list, or what do
Sure.
they need to do?
Next year, our application process will start on February 1st, 2018. The application will be available online, but we do encourage citizens to call 270-687-4444 to get their name on the list, only starting February 1st, because it is a first-come, first-served basis. We only have so many spots, anywhere from 18 to 22 homes, just depending on what the volunteer labor can afford to do in that. They usually do it in about 3 or 4 days of hard labor during that week, and it does involve a lot of fellowship and talking with the residents, and it's a pretty interesting week for the volunteers that come in. But it is a low-income qualifying program because we do use community development block grant funds. The participants, an interesting thing about the participants, they actually pay $250 to come and be in our city, and I have heard through the grapevine that Owensboro is one of their favorite places to visit throughout the United States. So,
And the homeowners, are there any other requirements from the homeowners except for just only being low income?
low income qualifying is it,
That's it?
and they have to own their home, of course.
Own the home, okay, thanks. Thank you, ma'am.
Anybody else? Okay.
World Changers is a group of middle school, high school, and college students and adult crew leaders that travel to various cities throughout the United States during the summer. Their idea is to be a mission-minded group of volunteers that take on various projects throughout the cities that they're in. Luckily, Owensboro was selected as one of those cities. Take a look at what they did while they were here.
Well, they're fixing my storage building because it leaked it and everything. And they painting it and everything, and they fixing my awnings, painting them because they needed painting, and my steps had holes all in it going up to the porch and everything, and they fixing them, and they gonna fix me a little porch like thing because I didn't have none for the front and everything too.
Over 210 volunteers arrived in Owensboro to repair 20 homes. Volunteers from Texas, Missouri, Alabama, Ohio, Michigan, Georgia, Illinois, and Kentucky worked on minor home improvement tasks during their week of service.
First, we pulled weeds out of a bed, and then after that, we're laying siding up on the house. So that's the first time I've ever done that, and I actually like it. It's fun.
I've been working on the deck in the back, and me and Andrew, we've been cutting all the wood pieces for that part, and then the girls have been painting in the back. We replaced the sides of the 2 sheds, and also we're painting those now, and then also the parts above the windows, we're painting those.
We've got a few days just to do some small projects. We're replacing her back deck. The stairs were kind of falling in a little bit, and just got a bunch of kids together and replaced the boards that were bad and then putting it back. So working out here in the hot heat in Kentucky.
This is the 10th year that World Changers have volunteered in the community. All supplies, repairs, and building materials were provided at no cost to the homeowners. The city's Community Development Department provided the funding to revitalize these properties.
It's been real great because I didn't know how I was going to get stuff done because I don't repair like they repairing and everything. And so it's been just a blessing for me to get it done.
I've talked to her a lot, and her smile brings, it's just, she's one of the cutest old ladies I've ever met. But her smile brings a lot to me. It shows a lot.
It's not just that we're here to do the work for her. She's here to get to know us, and we can pray for those things that she tells us about without her even knowing that we're doing that. So it's definitely more of a personal thing than just reaching out and helping them. We get to know them, and it's a nice opportunity to get to reach out and tell them about God.
175 homes have been repaired in the Owensboro community thanks to World Changers crew leaders and volunteers. Their devotion to serving others through this volunteer opportunity not only made Owensboro better, but left a lasting impact for the volunteers.
I've definitely gained a lot of confidence.
Coming out and helping the community in Owensboro is it's very refreshing and life-changing, and it reminds you God's love and His glory, and it just is something that is undescribable of how great the feeling is and happiness that it brings to you and the people in the community.
So I love volunteering and especially helping out the elderly because they're not always able to get out, and in this community you meet new people from all over the world, which is great, and then you get to see the inside of what they're going through and their struggles. So some of them don't believe in God, but we're able to reach out to them through that by showing the love of Christ by what we're doing here at their home.
I thought it was a great opportunity to go not only take my two kids to a World Changers event and let them share in helping other people who can't help themselves, but also to visit with other people from around the world and who have the same passion for helping people.
So I would definitely recommend coming because it definitely opens your eyes to all of the problems around the world. For me, it's just my state, but for other people, it's 20 hours. It's 300 miles. It's a long distance. And so I would definitely recommend it. It lets you see the outskirts of what your little home shows. It's not always the same, and it definitely shows you courage, strength, confidence, and the love of God through other people, not just through yourself, but it's a great opportunity.
I would say definitely go for it. It does, like you said, it takes a week out of your summer. It's hard work, but in the end, the feeling that you get, it's just amazing. And it's just so much great experience that you can share love with the people in the community. So it does take a lot, but just go for it and you'll enjoy it.
Well, it's a great opportunity to lose some sleep on air mattresses. No, it's a great time. You'll get to meet some great people from all over who have the same, just meet interesting people from around the United States who want to come all together in one place and just go out and help some folks. So I definitely recommend it. It's a great, great time.
For more information on how to get your home worked on or to become a volunteer with World Changers, check back to owensboro.org in February of 2018. Thanks for watching Community Developments. I'm Leslie Neely.
Thank you, Abby. I think you could even change the name to World Leaders, because, that's where leaders come from, by paying it forward. And that's, I want to get involved. I don't know about that hard work, but I'd like to get involved when they come back next year, because I think that's awesome. Okay, item number 5A, consider approval of minutes dated July 26, 2017, August 1st, 2017, and August 8th, 2017. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any comments from the commission? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 5B is consider board appointments. Human Relations Commission. I would like for you to consider appointing Joseph Martin to a one-year term expiring August 15th, 2018. I'd like for you to consider appointing Garrett Keller to a 3-year term expiring August 15th, 2020 to the Property Maintenance Code Enforcement Board, and appoint Gavin Roberts to a 3-year term expiring November the 1st to the Owensboro Health Board of Directors. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Any comment? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6, Mr. Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 21-2017 is an ordinance abandoning and closing 10th Street to the east of Litchfield Road and also a 10-foot alley beginning at the southeast corner of 901 Litchfield Road and ending approximately at the northeast corner of 901 Litchfield Road at the request of Clark Properties, LLC. Publicly read for approval on second reading, August 15, 2017.
A motion to approve. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
City Manager, you have any explanation of this?
Mayor, we spoke about this last
Right.
meeting. This is the closing of a 10-foot stub or a small stub of 10th Street that goes into the Clark property there. And it's also a closing of a paper alley or a grass alley with no asphalt on it. Benefits the business, does no harm to the city. As a matter of fact, relieves us of maintenance responsibilities. We recommend it.
Okay, any comment from the commission? Hearing none, any comment from the public? Okay, Ms. Cecil says roll call vote.
Commissioner Vallada,
Yes.
Commissioner Conder,
Yes.
Mayor Watson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Glenn,
Yes.
Commissioner Smithright.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 6B, Mr.
Thank
Ray.
you. Ordinance 22-2017 is an ordinance approving and adopting text amendments to Appendix F, Articles 7, 8, and 14 of the Owensboro Metropolitan Zoning Ordinance for the cities of Owensboro and Whitesville in Davis County. Publicly read for approval on second reading, August 15th, 2017.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve. Second. City Manager, do you have any comments, or would you like to turn it over to Brian?
Brian, please, Mayor.
Okay. Hot seat.
Yes, sir. Brian Howard, 200 East 3rd Street. Thank you all. This was heard at the last meeting. There are 3 different groups of text amendments. One allows a conditional use permit to be heard in conjunction with the rezoning at the Planning Commission meeting. As we said last time, that could help just facilitate that process and streamline it. The second is a group of amendments to the land use tables, which really for distilleries, breweries, and then micro distilleries and microbreweries, allowing some accessory and conditional uses in different categories to help support those businesses. And then the third section are amendments to definitions, including agritourism, outdoor storage, outdoor display, and things like that. Be glad to answer any questions that you all have that weren't brought up last time.
Any other questions?
Well, I did have one quick question,
Commissioner
just to
Glenn.
reaffirm. So a lot of this came out of, is this the one that came out of the lawsuit? We had a lawsuit, or was that another package of amendments?
That was really the other package
The
of
other
amendments
package.
that you
So
heard.
this is more about economic development, because
Yeah.
this one didn't seem more benign, okay?
Yeah, this is one that, you know, we feel allows some flexibility, additional things in the ordinance that, like we talked about last time with the distilleries and the breweries and that type of thing, that just really wasn't addressed in there. We want to make sure we're ready for those types of things when they pop up.
We're allowing them the flexibility
Yes.
for future development.
And,
Okay.
and additional things to take place on their properties that wouldn't have been allowed prior to these changes.
Right. Thank you, Brian.
Sure.
And thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Any other comments? Anybody from the public? Okay. City Clerk, Ms. Cecil?
Commissioner Conder,
Aye.
Mayor Watson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Glenn,
Yes?
Commissioner Smithright,
Aye.
Commissioner Vallada.
Yes. Thank you, Brian. Are you leaving?
Yes, sir. Unless you need me.
I just want to thank you. I know I called you this week, or sometime, I think it was this week, when we had one of our corporate citizens was kind of struggling, trying to get a couple, he's got 4 or 5 projects going, and
Right.
you were kind enough to get somebody out of a seminar in Lexington to solve that guy's problem. And I just want to publicly thank you that that's one of the things that you, planning and zoning does. It never get any credit for, I'm sure, but thanks for helping him out. He
Yeah.
really appreciated it.
Yes, sir. Anytime. And like I've said before, if y'all have any questions, just get in touch and we'll figure out what's going on.
All in this together.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks, sir.
Thank you all.
Okay, we on number 7, Mr. Ray?
Yes, sir.
Okay, first reading, there'll be no votes.
Ordinance 23-2017 is an ordinance amending Chapter 22, Section 22-5 of the Owensboro Municipal Code relating to police department allocation by rank hierarchy, and further revising the City of Owensboro Employee Handbook Policies and Procedures 104, 111, and 112. Introduced and publicly read on first reading August 15, 2017.
Okay, any comment from the commission? Any comment from the public? Any comment from the city manager?
I just tell you, Mayor, it's an administrative cleanup of ordinances. 4 or 5 years ago, the Kentucky retirement system stopped recognizing the rank of captain, replaced it with the rank of major. There were no pay changes involved, and also recognized the rank of colonel and lieutenant colonel for the chief and assistant chief. No pay changes there also. This ordinance therefore changes captains to major, chief to colonel, deputy chief to lieutenant colonel, and changes our personnel handbook. It's still appropriate to call Chief Elam, and Deputy Chief Speed, Deputy Chief Speed. No impact on our pay, cleanup of ordinances.
Thank you, sir. Hey, Mr. Ray, 7B, please.
Ordinance 24-2017, an ordinance creating a new section 10-8 in Chapter 10 of Article 1, establishing reporting requirements for automatic fire suppression contractors, and further amending references of material safety data sheets to safety data sheets in Section 10-34 and 10-37 of Chapter 10, Article 3, and further creating a new Section 10-43 in Chapter 10 of Article 3, establishing identification of hazardous materials, and further amending Section 25-119 in Chapter 25 of Article 4, Division 1 to exempt an emergency vehicle in the course of regular duties from parking prohibitions in fire or emergency lane. Introduced and publicly read on first reading August 15th, 2017.
All right, city manager.
Mayor, 3 elements to this ordinance change. The first is establishing an automatic fire suppression system reporting requirement that requires those reports to be delivered to the fire department. Secondly, an administrative change occurred in the National Fire Protection Association Code that changed material data safety sheets to safety data sheets. We have to adopt that. And finally, it ends the practice of allowing 3-minute parking for attended vehicles in fire and emergency lanes. It exempts emergency vehicles in the course of their duty.
Thank you, sir. Any comments from the
Yes,
commission?
I just had a question for
Commissioner Glenn.
City Manager Parrish. So if I park in a fire lane, if we do this, is there a fine? Do we have a fine imposed, or do we have any enforcement?
I would let the attorney answer that if you don't mind,
Okay,
Mayor.
that's fine.
The answer is yes.
Any idea what it would be, just so the public knows?
Off the top of my head, I don't know, but I'd be more than happy to get back to you. There's a laundry list of fines for various
I want to know how
violations.
much I have to pay when I run into Meyer and, load up in the line or drop the wife
If your
off.
car's still there when you get out,
Yeah, if it's not on fire.
I'll let you know what you owe to get it back.
Okay, it sounds like a good choice.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
Mayor, and thank you, Ed.
You're welcome. Okay. Thank you all. Item number 7C, Mr. Ray. Is that correct?
It is. Ordinance 25-2017. It's an ordinance amending the annual budget for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2017 and ending June 30th, 2018, and amending Ordinance 9-2017 to revise all beginning fund balances, carry over all outstanding encumbrances, capital projects, and rebudget previously adopted funds. Introduced and publicly read on first reading August 15th, 2017.
Okay. City manager, please.
Yes, Mayor, Commissioners, this is the form of budget amendments we do at the end of every fiscal year and the start of every new year. It's because there's no clean break between the old fiscal year and the new fiscal year in terms of projects or ordering things that we have to pay for. So when one item carries over to the next year. There are 14 budget amendments, and I'll go through these quickly. The first is 18-01 that impacts the general fund, the main fund of the city. As we said, there's no clean break on 1 July with past projects, so we're requesting to carry over $277,017 worth of projects that are still in the process of being completed, and an additional $231,776 of items that have been purchased but not delivered and therefore billed. You might think of an Amazon ordering process. You expect to order it in November, expect to receive it in November. It doesn't come in until December, so you have to pay it the next month. same form. Those are all listed. I'm happy to answer questions on each of those items if need be. 18-02 is the Your Community Vision Fund. It's the capital projects fund of the city that gains revenues from a 0.33 of the occupational tax. It builds funds over time, sometimes over several years, to do major projects with. Again, no clean break between an old fiscal year and a new fiscal year. We're asking to carry over $3.682 million in the projects listed below and an additional $780,517,000 from open purchase orders, those things ordered but not billed yet, haven't received. 18-03 is the Community Development Fund. It deals with state and federal funds given to Abby Shelton for community development, for example, the Triplet Twist area. These funds build over a number of years to do large projects like Mechanicsville, a Triplet Twist. This is to carry over all of those 17 and 18 funds and prior year funds that haven't been spent in those grants, totaling $894,999,000. They will be finished over the next 2 years. 18-04 is the Transit Fund, primarily federal and state grant monies to operate your transit department. We're carrying over a grand total of $610 that Lisa Fulkerson was unable to spend, but also there are 2 parts that are on back order for a total of $1,113 that we asked to carry over those funds as well. 18-05 is a Central Dispatch Fund, jointly owned by the city and county, managed by the city, who contributes a 75% share while the county contributes a 25% share. That change is to purchase computer equipment and computer software totaling $21,624 and rolling over $491,846 that will continue to build year after year with a goal of purchasing the new CAD system for the 911 operators. 18-06 is the Spectra Sports Center Fund, now managed by Spectra, of course, rather than the Parks Department. We are asking to carry over $25,354. Those are for plumbing replacements in the sports center, improved wayfinding signage so you know where your seat is in the sports center, and garbage cans, as well as an additional $31,570 in open purchase orders. Things ordered, not delivered yet, not paid for yet. 18-07, Facilities Maintenance Fund. This deals, of course, with keeping our grounds and buildings in repair. We're asking to carry over $160,643 in carryovers and open purchase orders, $184,000. Those carryovers are for pest control to the tune of almost $18,000 and for a concrete pad at the city garage that has to be built. It's almost $142,000 item. And Wayne's folks just did not have the opportunity to get to it and build it in 16-17. They'll have to build it in 17-18. 18-08 deals with the city garage. That is an open purchase order carryover of $3,262. 2 parts that were ordered in last year's budget haven't come in yet. When those arrive, they'll be paid for in 17-18 funds carried over from 16-17. 18-09, the Fleet and Facilities Replacement Plan, where we save funds over time to repair roofs, replace windows, purchase cars, etc. We're asking to carry over $491,000 in items we just literally could not get to in order last year. We will order within the first 2 months of this year, and purchase orders, things that have been ordered, large trucks that have to be built that take a period of time to be built and delivered. Those will come in. That will cost us $368,562. 18-10 involves the Rec Fund, which is our golf courses, the Edge, the pools, Fisher Park, and the tennis facility. We're asking to carry over $13,650. Those items are listed below. Non-capital equipment, those are chairs at the Edge and rental skates, and $7,500 for field work equipment at Fisher Park at that complex for tractor accessories. 18-11 is the Geographic Information System, a consortium owned in 25% shares by the city, the county, OMU, and RWRA, managed by the city. Will Carpenter is asking to carry over $24,132 because it takes him 4 years to save enough funds at $24,000 a year to buy new aerial photography for the city necessary for GIS. 18-12, the Capital Projects Fund for specific projects not in your community vision, carrying over $18,744. Those items are listed below, and open purchase orders not filled yet, $6,041. You can see those items are large items like the parking garage at $12 million, transportation projects, those are the bond anticipation notes at $3.4 million, and unencumbered funds at the Bluegrass Museum that's under construction of $3.1 million. 18-13 is the Downtown Revitalization Fund. We're carrying over $114,329 and purchase orders still unfilled of $37,000. This is a case where the old manager, Dean Dennis, said, I want the new manager to make the decision on how to buy furniture, fixtures, and equipment. The new manager said, give me some time to get my feet wet on the ground and see what's really needed so I don't waste funds. So Blake Henry will spend those funds during 17-18 rather than in 16-17. And finally, 18-14, Art Elam State Drug Fund, which is funded by seizure assets, carrying over $6,609. Those are purchase orders, things that have been purchased, not yet delivered. Be happy to answer any detailed questions, Mayor, Commissioners.
Any comments from the commission?
I've got one quick
Commissioner
question.
Glenn.
So we've got the bridge light money earmarked for $300,000, but that assumes that we need this.
You're on which one, Commissioner?
1802.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Bill.
Bridge lights, that's right.
Bridge lights at $300,000.
That's
So that
correct.
assumes we get state approval to do that, right?
No. What that is pre-work before we get state approval by AEI, the engineering company. They're doing all the work to prep this so that when they say you've got the permission, then we can proceed.
So given that, where will the funds come from? I know years ago we had a community fundraising drive. Where would the additional funds come from for the new lighting system, assuming state approval?
I'll have to look for commission guidance. There are some thoughts. I know the mayor has talked about some ideas, the way he might want to do it. There's some other thoughts about reallocating your community vision funds. But this gets you in a position to be prepared for. It does not say there are enough funds to complete it here.
Okay, and my other question, and I'm not sure if I've got the section, I think it's 1809, the police vehicles. The question I've got, and we might need the chief to answer this, but if you feel comfortable, that's fine. I noticed in my ride-along over the weekend that they've transitioned to a lot of SUVs. We started out with the small cars, and with all their equipment and guns and all the stuff these gentlemen and ladies have to carry, it's really, it's uncomfortable. So I noticed a lot of the officers now driving SUVs. Is this money that's allocated mainly to upgrade our vehicle force and probably buy more of these larger vehicles, or it doesn't distinguish?
No, Commissioner, the Fleet and Facilities Replacement Plan in total does that sort of work. What this does is some specific vehicles that we didn't buy. I can list those
like the
out
fire
for you.
trucks?
It has to do with salt spreaders. Give me just a second to get
let me go
3
back.
salt spreaders, 2 one-ton trucks, a Gator, a Fairway motor, an F-150 pickup truck, some sign installation equipment. That's primarily what it builds around.
So it's targeted to specific, okay.
Those were ones that literally Wayne and Public Works didn't have time to get all that done in 16-17. Just asked to carry that authority over to 17-18 to complete it very quickly.
Okay, my last general question, this is more for the public. How many years, if you've got $300,000 and let's say that we don't get the bridge approval, or we're doing that work now, how many years can you roll over a specific amount of money? Is it only a 1-year rollover? You can't hang on to it forever? Or?
No, as a matter of fact, Commissioner, your community vision sometimes will take 6, 7, 8 years to build enough funds. For example, Persimmon Ditch is a ditch that we never have enough funds to fix all of it. So we save some money, fix a part of it, saving more, we'll fix part of it, save more, we'll fix part of it.
So rollovers can go on in perpetuity. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Bill.
Yes, sir.
Welcome. I will say that Commissioner Condor and I spent what seemed like 2 days yesterday afternoon going over all this with Angela, Danae, city manager, attorney, and it's there's a whole lot to it. So we appreciate you being forthright and bringing this to the public's view. Okay. Now we go to item.
Mayor, if I could just one comment, please.
No.
Okay, that's
yeah,
okay.
go ahead.
Let's go ahead. Just a comment for the public to recognize. Since a significant portion of the stormwater work has been basically completed, 85 to 90% completed. It has been brought to our attention, I believe, that the KIA monies, I assume where we had a line of credit to be able to borrow from, to be able to pay for that over the long period of time, that with the management of those projects, that a little over $2 million will not be used in that line of credit. What that means basically is that staff did such a great job of doing what needed to be done and how it needed to be done that that can be turned back to KIA is what can happen. So I applaud staff for their hard work over the years to do this. Still not completed all the way, but it was, the public needs to understand that that money will be turned, or the line of credit itself will be turned back. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. Item 8, municipal orders. Mr. Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. Municipal Order 24-2017 is a municipal order declaring the property located at 1809 Grimes Avenue as surplus property and further authorizing the mayor to execute a deed transferring the property in accordance with KRS 82.8083. This is introduced and publicly read for approval on one reading, August 15th, 2017.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay. City Manager, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioners, as you know, we briefed this at the budget. There's no longer a park keeper at Chautauqua Park, and therefore the house is surplus. Sits empty primarily. We're recommending auctioning that off and the proceeds going to the general fund. There is one user, the Disabled American Veterans. We're working 4 different options of places to put them before that sale is actually consummated. We will come back to the City Commission and make sure that you are satisfied with our arrangements to relocate those individuals.
Any comments from the commission, please? Hearing none, public? Okay, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir. Item number 8B, Mr. Ray.
Municipal Order 25-2017, a municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an interlocal agreement by and between the City of Owensboro and Davis County, under the terms of which 2017 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Funds in the amount of $19,428 will be allocated to the Davis County Sheriff's Office to purchase 17 taser holsters, batteries, data port, download kit, and cartridges. Introduced and publicly read for approval on one reading, August 15th, 2017.
Thank you, sir. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any comments from the commission? Comments from the public? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Okay, that gets us to item number 9, city manager items.
City Manager, thank you. Mayor, thank you. And I'd ask you to recognize Ms. Hamrick in addition to myself to go over the June financials. And then I'd like to put 16-17 and 17-18 in perspective as we move forward.
Ms. Hamrick.
Yes, Mayor and Commission. The financial report for the month ended June 30th, 2017, and I'll remind everyone this is unaudited. We won't have that till the audited report till December. Our general fund revenues through June 30, 2017 of $47,053,000.
Angela, could you move a little closer to the mic,
yes,
please?
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yes, the general fund revenues through June 30th, 2017 of $47,053,552 were $798,209 over budget. This is primarily due to occupational withholdings and property tax collections. Our general fund expenditures of $47,519,534 were $708,038 under budget, primarily due to savings in our personnel services, debt service and timing of expenditures, and maintenance supplies and services. Our sanitation fund revenues of $7,557,327 were $183,411 over budget, primarily due to dumpster services and sale of capital assets. Our sanitation expenditures of $6,097,229 were $287,610 under budget, primarily due to tipping fee cost and timing of capital outlay. Expenditures in the transit fund The recreational fund, we're all under budget. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer.
Anybody on the commission have any questions? Ms. Hamrick, I got a question. And I've been asked this by several people in the community, how come it takes this long to get the end of our fiscal year, which is June 30th, to be public in August the 15th? Could you kind of expound on that a little bit, please?
Sure. Yes, Mayor. The main reason is we are on a cash basis throughout the year, but we are a modified accrual governmental entity.
Okay, explain those two differences, please.
What that means is at the end of the fiscal year, which is June 30, expenses incurred, supplies received June 30 or previous, those have to be recognized in June. For example, say we have a service rendered, say mid-June, and that invoice may not come in until July or maybe even August. What we need to do is take that expense and recognize it back into June, into the fiscal year, and we set up a payable, if you will. So when we do these financials month by month, July, August, September, we don't have to take those expenses back. We don't have to wait for that invoice. We don't have to wait for subsequent check writes that will take the expenses incurred June 30th and prior, but not paid for till July 1 or later. Those have to be.
Run that by me again. That's a little fast for me. I'm sorry.
Any services rendered June 30th or prior.
Or prior.
And they're not paid for till July 1 or later.
Okay.
There's that difference between when the expense was incurred,
okay,
June 30 or prior, and then the cash outlay was July 1 or later. So that's 2 different fiscal years.
Mm-hmm.
So what we have to do is take the amount we paid and recognize that
new fiscal
back
year.
in the
Back
old,
in the old
year.
Okay.
Yes. So it takes time to pull all that data together from all the departments through, there's 2-3 check writes.
What does that mean? What did you say?
Where we do a check write, we issue checks for invoices.
Okay.
There's up to 3 check writes after June 30 that will have notations on them that they're old year. So they go back, the system takes them back to old year. So we have to be very careful in finance to scrutinize and look at almost every single invoice to ensure that it's recognized in the proper fiscal year.
Okay. And then no advantage to be December 31 versus June 30.
It would still be the same situation, yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right. And then I got a couple. Anybody else have anything before I got a couple of questions. You know, during the all those budget deals we had here, you know, I asked for a report, so to speak, on the old revenue versus the new revenue, and you said you would, you know, get that to me. So does that take that extra, 6-8 weeks to get that in there? Because I was wanting to kind of try and find out, you know, because there were several thousand people thought that we could get by on the taxes that we had, and I wanted to make sure that the public knew, because we went to the 1.3 or one whatever it is into the new one, and I wanted to get the difference and kind of restrict that difference. And we had talked, and you'd said, you know, probably in 5 or 6 months we'd blow through that whole number, but I think it's really important that we make that number known so that we can continue to follow what we promised to do.
And that's our plan. Everyone in finance knows the plan. So when I present the July financials, I will have the breakdown for you for the July month.
Okay,
and so I will have that information available to present in accordance with the month of financials that are presented.
Okay, so that would be in September.
August.
I mean, you only got like 10 people short over there in finance, so how long is the engine?
It will be September, but as we get past the year-end hump, if you will, and get flowing again, the financials will be more timely. But yes, it will be August likely.
So is there any chance that if we finish September the 1st and we have our second meeting in October, that you could have the difference that went on in September for the second meeting? And I'm just asking, I'm not putting the hammer on you, but you know, that would be so efficient to keep the public aware that here's where we are and here's what we did. And I think that's, I think that's why we don't have a bunch of people here beating us to death, because we've been
Certainly.
very honest with them.
Certainly, yes. I don't see where that would be a problem.
Okay, all right. Any questions for me? Forget it. Never mind. Okay. Oh, Mr. Parrish has a follow-up.
Beth, could you bring that up, please? What I want to do, Mayor, Commissioners, is because there's not a clean break between 2 years, put this in perspective. It's one thing to say how much we saved and did well last year. It's another thing to put it in perspective over 2 years. What this slide shows you, it reports on the revenues received in last year's budget from 1 July 16 to 30 June 17. And you can see that we budgeted $46.25 million, but actually received a little over $47 million. We're ahead by $798,000 on the strength of our occupational tax. 88% of that was in the occupational tax, which means we have a booming economy in Owensboro, Kentucky. Yes, Mayor.
One quick question. I don't want to slow you down because
Yes,
there's
Mayor.
a whole lot to this. Could you tell the public the percentage of people that live outside the city limits that pay occupational? Maybe it's an Angela or Danae question. Just close.
I have that information, man.
Yeah, I'm thinking, we did a study on that, and 60%
At least
is coming to
60%
mind.
of the people that are
At
paying
least that. Yeah, it might be higher a
I thought
little
it was in
bit.
that neighborhood. Okay,
Mhm.
I didn't want to slow you down, but I think that's important for the people also to know that folks that live in the county, that work in the city, are helping to pay our bills for us.
And rightfully so, since they're using our police services and fire services and streets and all the business we do.
Yes, sir.
But the great strength of this economy is booming right now. I'll testify that a little bit later. We're having a hard time finding folks to work at the city. It's doing so well. Now, when you look at 16-17 expenditures, the other side of the coin, you'll see the original budget was $45.7 million. That budget was amended. Remember we talked about carryovers? I call it a bubble. At the end of every year, we don't quite finish what we were supposed to do because projects cross fiscal years or because we've ordered supplies or parts that haven't come in. That bubble carries over and adds to the new budget. So 16-17, our bubble that carried over or other budget amendments brought our budget to $48.227 million, and meaning that brings us in under budget by $708,000. So over in revenues, under in expenditures, a good thing to be. The 16-7 actual revenues, the combined result of the overage in revenues and the savings and expenditures. If you take our projected loss in 16-17, our projected loss was $1.9 million. That has been reduced to $465,000, almost $466,000. But that good news comes with a caveat. And that is we still spent more than we took in. We're living off our savings in 16-17. We had to withdraw $465,000, almost $466,000 out of savings to cover that current year budget. Now the 17-18 budget, as we look ahead, that revenue budget was $51.467 million. Remembering the occupational license fee has gone up because we increased that fee, but the insurance premium license fee doesn't go up till the 1st of July 2018, next year. You'll see the expenditure budget is slightly higher at $51,725,000. So we'll have to withdraw a little bit from our savings to pay for current year 17-18. Remember that bubble though, those budget amendments we just talked about, totaling $515,000 in the general fund, that get added to the 17-18 budget from 16-17, results in a shortfall in 17-18, a new shortfall of $773,000, almost $774,000. If you don't take that bubble that moves each year into consideration, you'd have a false impression of how good the budget is. Now the good news in 16-17, if you isolate just that 1 year, that projected loss has been lowered by $1.4 million. You see what that is, but we should temper that good news with the rest of the story. And that's the news for 17-18. The news for 17-18 hasn't been written yet, but we projected in April when we briefed this budget, we projected to lose $258,000. But now we're talking budget amendments. For the first part of this year of $515,000, increases that loss to $773,000 for this year. Now, what's the analysis? We bring 2 years together into one bit of analysis. A better analysis of our condition is to combine those 2 years. Our original 2-year shortfall was projected at $2.2 million. We now update that shortfall to $1.2 million, combining those 2 years, meaning that over this 2 years that we're talking about, our position is $1 million better than it was when we briefed you a while ago. That's good news. We need more good news like that. Let's look at it in terms of a graph. You remember this graph from our budget workshops and our presentations. The red line here is the GFOA standard. That is, we say you have to have 2 months of which you spend, 2 months worth of spending in the bank to cover you from emergencies. The purple line is what the public said. The public said we need 3 months worth of savings in the bank. The blue bars indicate what was our savings account in those years. If you go back to 12 and 13, it was above $14 million, and you see all the way through 16, 17, that savings account has shrunk, and we're right at the GFOA standard now. In 17, 18, we projected that it would drop even more before it started climbing out when the insurance premium license fee kicked in. Now let's update it. The gold bars add in what we actually received in revenues. So for the previous years, they're equal. We've gotten those equalized. For 16 and 17, you see it shows that gold bar is above the blue bar. We brought in more money than we originally projected. It's a good thing. But you can see from this that we are still going to deficit spend for the next 2 years. In 1920, we still break into the GFOA standard as projected. The difference is we break into it more aggressively. It still takes to 1920 to get to that standard. Yes, Mayor.
So we brought in more money, but we still spent more money. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct, Mayor.
Okay.
And as we go ahead, I've highlighted in that pink color, you'll see that we're short of the GFOA standard for the next 2 years. This plan has traction. It's gaining ground. It's working. It's doing what it was designed to do, but it's too soon to change the course as we move ahead. And that's because there are concerns to consider as we move ahead. There's been good news, but there are concerns. The first is there's the potential of a recession. The Great Recession ended, we're told, by the Bureau of Economic Research in June of 2009. We know historically recessions come every 57 months. We're now in the 96th month. Historically, we're due for a change. We don't know that will happen. We also face higher cost due to wage pressure. The commission had to increase the salary. We're paying our public safety officials because we could not recruit and retain those folks. I'm having the same problem with specialized CDL drivers. Wayne Shelton had 18 CDL drivers leave last year. Very few of those retired. They went to higher paying jobs. 6 of his 7 road workers who were CDL drivers left. We're going to have to do something about that, I'm afraid. Tax accountants are in the same boat. I can't get my tax accountants to stay long enough. They get here, they get experience, and they go somewhere else because we're not paying enough. So we've got to do that. And with the degradation of our pension system used to be great. Now it's modified 401k for folks that are coming in. You can't say, well, we're going to pay you lower, but you'll get the reward in 27 years. Not the case anymore. We also face higher pension costs as we go forward. Over the years, the city met its part of the plan. We pay it into the state pension fund as required. The state didn't fund it to the level they were required. They're telling us now to anticipate additional pension payments of up to $2.3 million a year. Now, we just talked about $1 million savings to the good. We're talking about 2.3 each year going forward that we could be required to pay with Trust in Frankfurt. We face potentially lower revenue through business closings. There will always be good news. More good news will come, but I know of business closings. We know of Bimbo Bakery, 2 Kmarts, and others that will cost us $125,000 a year, and there are others that are starting to be identified. We have not counted that OMU has talked about closing Unit 1. Revenue from the mall is a concern. Their assessment has been lowered once already. Therefore, our property taxes will be lowered from the mall, and they are on an appeal for further reductions, as well as you notice the parking lot is no longer as full as it used to be. No one can predict what's going to happen in healthcare. It's a concern. No one can predict what will happen at the state or federal level with tax reform. That is a concern. And we are bringing in a lot of money now from the TIF area on Highway 54 that's coming into the general fund. But sometime in the future, Ed Ray is going to make the analysis. It is time to activate the TIF. That means most of those funds will go into a TIF bucket separated from the general fund to be saved for use as that TIF investment. It's a long-term investment. So those funds will be dropped out of the city budget. And finally, Chief Mitchell and counterparts at the county will bring to the city and the county some sort of ambulance contract, which we believe, we don't want it to be, but we're reading everywhere in the country, will require a subsidy, and that is not included. Yes, Mayor.
City, county, and hospital?
City and county right now, hospital's working on it, but
Okay.
hospital's not participating yet. My point is not to shower bad news on what has been a good news story, and Steve, thanks for the story today. Not to shower good news on that, but the expectation that, wow, we had a great year, we ought to be able to lower taxes. Urge the commission and the community to stay the course. You've taken a hard decision, you've gained traction, it is turning. It's doing what you thought it would do, but it's got to have a couple more years to come through. Mayor, that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. In talking with quite a few members of the Kentucky State Legislature, this will be the toughest budget in the history of Kentucky. There will be some cuts that are, there's no way to say anything else except, so we got to hunker down and make sure that we're not taken by surprise by the cuts that are going to happen in Frankfort, because it's going to be difficult with the pension concerns, because everything that's developed in Frankfort basically is developed around the pension concerns. And it's going to be a very difficult year. And like the city manager said, you know, even though we did a little better than expected, we got to stay on top of every expense we have and try and create as much revenue as we can. And that brings me to a question, Ms. Hammer. I've been asked several times about how to predict our revenue versus expenses. What do you really use as a template for that? Could you,
Sure.
without Googled it, you know, and it's like 2 to 5% should be an accurate prediction for a business to try and understand the forecast for the year. So what
Okay.
how do you manage that?
What
please?
we'll do, Mayor, it's what Bill, our city manager, refers to as science and art. What we'll do is look historically what has happened. We'll look at actuals, and we'll strip out what I call anomalies, where when the hospital was built, we had a boom in occupational.
Mhm.
Strip that out, because that's not going to carry forward. So what we'll do is look at trending with the anomalies stripped out. And then what we'll do is meet with the EDC and ask them what's coming down the horizon. What can we look to include in the budget? What do you know of that we can raise our revenues and reflect that in there as such? So that just goes back to looking at actuals historically as well as looking forward, and that's how we do our revenue budget.
So would you say if you were within 5% of prediction of revenue and 5% of expenses, that would be kind of something we could look at? I mean, is that an unfair thing to ask you?
Unfair for government, I think so.
Unfair for government?
Because everything is different every year, whereas a business, a small business or a big business, has a trend, and every business continues about the same with some adjustments. We have major projects that fall up, things that fall down. Our economy is influenced by one major shuttering of a business that's unanticipated can have major consequences. I pulled before this meeting, Mayor, I looked back. We had in 11 and 13, we were right on the money in our projections. But for 13-14, 14-15, and 15-16, we forecasted more revenue than we actually took in. We missed it. This year, we projected less revenue than we took in. It's a moving target, and I don't think it's possible to get to.
Well, that's, you know, that's just a question that comes up at the health park and every place else, McDonald's. You know, how do you predict, you know, the revenue versus expenses? And that's why I wanted you to explain how you do it. And quite honestly, you got the graph there, and you were well prepared to me, and I didn't even give you a heads up that I was going to ask that either. So, I mean, it's a difficult deal, and it goes to Frankfort, then it goes to Washington, where Washington can print their own money. We can't print our money. So it's going to be a difficult year, I promise you, from every indication that I see, no matter how many. I mean, the state is $3.1 billion ahead in economic development than they were last year. But it's still going to be a very difficult budget. Okay. Do what? We need to vote on this. Okay? You already got the motion? Chat? So all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, City Manager and Finance Director. We appreciate your honesty and
You're welcome.
forthright commitment to making our city better. Item number 9, City Manager items.
Nothing further, Mayor. Thank you.
Oh, good job. Item number 9B, personnel appointment.
Mayor, I'd ask you and the commission to consider the following personnel appointment. Stephen Franklin, regular full-time, non-civil service appointment as grounds manager horticulturalist, effective August 22nd. And this is by way of explanation, Mayor. This is an employee who has completed 1 year of probation. He's ready to come off probation and be a full-time employee.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any comments from the commission? Any comments from the public? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Surely you don't, city manager comments.
Nothing further. Thank you,
All right,
Mayor.
communication from elected officials, Mr. Velada. Commissioner Velada, I beg your pardon.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing. Thank you.
Commissioner Condor.
Just a comment concerning our financial status, Mayor. Some people in the community may think or believe that the sky's falling. It's not falling. It's not at all. We have a great group of people in our community, both in all of our employees and our citizens themselves. So I tell everyone today, I have full faith that this commission, with the mayor and the help of staff, will make this work very well. I believe it. I cannot have anybody else tell me differently, that we will succeed in this community. Already being as awesome as it is, will be better. And no one can tell me differently. So thank you very much, Mayor.
You're welcome, Commissioner Condor. Nobody's digging into the numbers any more than you are. Commissioner Smith-Wright.
Well, you don't know how hard I'm digging into the numbers.
It's gross. I hate it.
Mayor, thank you.
You're welcome.
I wanted to say to the public that I don't know of any business who has a staff that works any harder than our staff does. And through this whole budget process, these people have given all that they've had. And I mean, I've watched them jump through hoops trying to make this budget work. And I wanted to say that I'm proud of them. They've come through like the champs they really are. And I wanted them to know that I really appreciate the hard work that they put into everything that they do. And I'd like to also say that I want to thank everybody who participated in Pay It Forward. I don't want you really to stop. You should do something nice for somebody every day. But for those of you who did it these last 2 weeks, I appreciate that. And I wanted to tell Steve that we're sorry for the loss of your father. And then I want to say hi to my husband sitting out there.
What do you say, Jane? How you doing, baby?
He's
All
ready to go karaoke.
He's going. Is he singing or are you just singing?
Oh, he sings.
Jane.
I mean, he sings better than I do.
Up at the daggone podium, get us one. Can you do a cappella? No. No. Okay. Okay. Anything else, Commissioner Smith-Wright?
That's all. Thank you.
Commissioner Glenn.
Yes, I just have a couple of items I wanted to address. The first was on Friday night, I had the privilege of going out with Officer Hunter Hinton on a ride-along. I do that once a year. Got to see a lot of our officers do great work. They just continue to impress me. Chief Elam and Assistant Chief Speed, you've got the best law enforcement group in the state of Kentucky, and I'd almost argue in the nation. So many challenging situations, and in every case, the focus is on human compassion, defusing it, hot situations and making it happen. So I'm just so proud of OPD. Of course, I'm proud of all our first responders, but I go out every year to see their challenges. I do think they need bigger vehicles, and I got to say riding in the SUV selfishly was a lot more comfortable than riding in, I think, the Charger last year. And I think a lot of the officers concur with that. The second is we've got the Eclipse coming up on the 21st. I would encourage people to exercise. I think we have a great video that Leslie Neely's done and Ken Knight in our video department. Do pay attention to that. Be aware of that day. There may be increased traffic and a lot of things will be a little out of kilter on that day. But it is a great scientific and historical event. It's not going to come around again until 2045, we're told. So, and we're in a prime viewing spot. And then finally, I just want to say one thing in terms of Women's Equality Day, just briefly. It has typically been the League of Women Voters that has requested that, but I think it's a fine place to put it in City Hall and recognize the contributions of all women. So I recognize and thank the mayor for doing it. And that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Last week we had a meeting with all the veterans groups to try and decide what we should do about, and Commissioner Smith-Wright was with me, about trying to dress up the all the monuments, so to speak, at the Sports Center, and trying to decide whether or not we're going to go and try and put something next to the Shelton Memorial and try and have a gathering place for all the veterans. Now, we had that big long table in 406, and it was kind of like a battle line. You know, this guys and these guys and gals, you know, it was a difficult thing, but we spent a lot of time trying to find consensus as to creating another memorial to the fallen soldiers from our area. So that's in progress. Can't really tell you how it's going to turn out yet, but I did ask Public Works, Leland Hancock, and through City Manager Parrish to kind of take a look at the existing monuments at Sports Center, and I'm sure he did that, and try and dress them up a little bit. I was unaware that there was I will say, just a tablet on the ground basically for the Korean War veterans that people were actually walking across, and well, we were made aware of that, wasn't we, Pam? You know, and she's this, and I don't blame her that I didn't want my father.
Get Pam started.
Huh?
Get me started.
Go ahead and take a break. Pull that thing out of the way there. And so anyway, we had a very good discussion. So we're not really sure what's going to happen yet, but I want to thank Commissioner Smith-Wright for kind of leading that discussion, and Kathy Mullins. And these are things that a community this size that has people that have given the ultimate sacrifice we need to address. So, to be continued. I attended a Kentucky Labor Cabinet Safety Award and Health presentation for MPD for achieving, get this, Leland, 1,256,157 hours of work without experience of lost time or injury or illness. It's a big deal, especially for a big corporation. So I was there, and they had the Commissioner of Workforce Development presented that to MPD, and that's a big deal. Also, we got a nice thank you letter from Dr. Jay Box with Kentucky Education, KCTCS, for addressing the community needs for economic development and student attainment. And then finally, I spent 6.5 hours interviewing 6 candidates for the replacement for Madison Silvert as Economic Development CEO. And I can tell you that we have some excellent candidates, and as far as I'm concerned, it's the third most important job in the city. You have the county judge, the highest elected official in Owensboro, you have the city manager, and you have the economic development director. It's that important, in my view, for our community to continue to grow. And we have some great candidates. We'll be interviewing them in a couple of weeks, and hopefully by the end of September, 1st of what's next, October, we'll have a new EDC chief who has access to Frankfurt and access to Washington. So that's all I have. Okay. Thank you. Item open public forum number 11. Members of the audience are invited to address the City Commission on any matter of public concern that was not on tonight's agenda. Comments are limited to issues within the scope and responsibility of this commission. City Commission meetings are held to conduct city business for the benefits of Owensboro citizens and taxpayers. The meetings are not intended to serve as public forums. At this time, I would like to, anyone who wishes to address the commission, please make their way to the podium. To be recognized, speakers must state their name and address for the clerk's record and limit their remarks to 3 minutes or less. Since the item is not on the agenda, no response is required from the city staff or the commission. And the mayor reserves the right to extend as long as it's okay with the city clerk. Okay, yes, sir.
Mayor Commission, my name is Rene Velez. I'm at 2524 Cavalcade Drive. First, excuse my attire.
That's all right. We wish we was all dressed just like you. Don't worry about it.
I came here pretty quick, finding out that there was a meeting tonight. We've had a problem in our neighborhood with speeding.
With what?
Speeding.
Speeding.
And
Chief.
From what I understand, it's been since, for 20 years. We moved there about a year ago, and it's 30 miles an hour is the speed limit. That's not abided by. We're people going 45 miles an hour on that street. And if anybody were to pull out and not see a car coming, there's no way a car could stop. A car going 20 miles an hour is going to take 40 feet to stop. 45 miles an hour or 40 miles an hour is 120 feet to stop. Okay. And that's just 40 miles an hour. I don't know what else to do. I've talked to Sergeant Martin. He knows me by name.
Good boy.
He's had the speed machine out in front of the house time and time again. Today it's out just a couple doors down. The whole neighborhood is basically wondering what we can do. One thought is the speed limit. So, some people may not want to hear that, but
What is the speed limit, if you don't mind telling me?
30 miles an hour.
30?
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying they're going 45 or 50?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And one of the problems is, and Sergeant Martin will concur, that they can't ticket unless they're going 10 miles over, or they're not going to ticket. And like I said, we've been going around and around about this. They post people out there. But if you can't ticket going 40 miles an hour, what's the stopping? 120 feet.
So you're telling me it's 30
miles an hour.
In
30 miles an hour.
Thoroughbred Acres?
Thoroughbred Acres, 30 miles an hour.
It's 30 miles an hour on
30 miles an hour.
4th Street coming into town?
30 miles an hour.
For some reason, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Because, I leave my office, I can take a nap by the time I get to City Hall, 30 miles an hour. So it's faster and I guess, Chief, you could speak to that at some point in time if you concur. But I understand your problem, and I don't have an answer.
Yeah, we have. I have 2 small children, 3 and 5, but there's children up and down. That neighborhood is now getting younger. I know it's older, but it's getting younger again. People are moving in because it's a great neighborhood.
Sure is.
But people going 45 miles an hour on a regular basis, even 40 miles an hour. Heck, even 35 is 35 miles an hour. That's 90. That's 100 feet to stop a car going 35 miles an hour.
If you see the problem in time.
If you see the problem in time.
Yeah. Chief, could you address any of his concerns, please, sir? I know you weren't prepared for this, but we'd love to hear from you since you've been sitting over there so nice and quiet all night.
Yes, sir. We've looked into this issue because he's reported it a number of times. And what we looked back in historical data, there have been no accidents attributed to speeding in that area. I think his original request was to put speed bumps on Cavalcade. What street are you looking
No,
at?
I've never requested speed bumps.
Oh.
To lower the speed limit, but that's going to take the, anyways, that's going to take the the commission to do that. But, I mean, and go ahead, I don't mean to interrupt.
Okay. And it's state law, you know, any residential neighborhood, if it's not posted, is 30 miles per hour.
Okay, that's
in
what I was
cities.
trying to get at.
And state highways, of course, if not otherwise posted, are 35, like on 4th Street.
Ugh.
So, but we look at it, we put our radar trailer out there, and we actually record the speeds.
Does that
of
record
all
how
the-
many people
Yes,
speed?
it records how many people come through, how many are exceeding the speed limit, and we can get a printout to show who, in fact, not who, but how
Yeah.
many vehicles are going 37 miles per hour, 45. And we put officers out there. We put the radar trailer out there to say, hey, we're watching this area or whatever. We put it out there for a week, and then officers will go and monitor it with handheld radar guns or moving radar guns in units. So, but we haven't, you know, been able to obviously stop the problem. But that's all we can do. And this happens all over the city.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear a lot of it, actually.
Yeah.
You know, people call and say, they're running through my neighborhood and all that stuff, so. Well, so the solution is?
Well, I don't know. We're not from here originally. We're from California.
Sorry about your luck.
Yeah.
I mean, woo.
But,
We're glad to have you.
But the problem, I mean, well, in California, speed limit's 20 miles an hour in a residential street. 20 miles an hour.
Oh.
I mean,
Well, y'all
and
packed
people
in there
are-
a lot closer, though, aren't you?
No, it depends where you live. Depends on where you live.
Mhm.
But if that were the case, I mean, people are going to go 10 miles over, so it would be 30 miles an hour anyways, right?
I try to go 10 miles an hour over myself.
You know.
Okay.
Mayor, can I add one?
Sure, Commissioner Glenn's got a
Something
solution
doesn't
here.
cost the city money, but might work. There is a wonderful software system that Leslie Neely can tell you about signing up for if you're not already a member, called Nextdoor, which allows neighbors to talk to neighbors even across the whole city. You might want to put your concern out there. A
Oh,
lot
we're
of
there.
people do.
We're there.
Are you in Nextdoor?
Oh, yeah, we're there.
And the other would be to go to your neighborhood alliance, which I think in your area is Shively York, because they may come up with some creative ideas. Maybe create some just signs you stick in the yard that say, slow down, children in the neighborhood. Something like that doesn't have to be very expensive, and it might reinforce the need.
Yeah, we're there. I mean, I've communicated with I don't know how many people, and this was, like I said, after months.
Okay.
Of,
Well, I appreciate your concern and coming to us tonight. Thanks for sharing your concerns with us.
Counselor?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to clarify one thing just for the public, and certainly I'm sure the chief can attest to this. I don't know what the misunderstanding is, but if you're going 1 mile an hour over the speed limit, the police department can write a ticket for that. So there's not a get out of the issue.
I'm just going by
buffer
what I was
zone,
told.
right, for 10 miles an hour. So let's
That's
just
why he's
clarify.
trying to set the record straight.
Yeah, this is just what I'm told.
No, it's enforceable 1 mile an hour over. Obviously, there's common sense in the way that all issues are handled in the public with our law enforcement, and that's why their job is so difficult. But I just want to clarify the issue. It's
Sure.
any amount over the speed limit, or any amount that's inappropriate under the speed limit is ticketable. And so we all got to base our driving on conditions, and that makes everybody a safer community. But we'd be glad, Mayor, to talk with our engineers about that particular road, and as far as recommended traffic times and distances.
I mean,
Appreciate you.
If there's anything we can do, start a petition. I mean, I don't know what else to do other than.
You can't get any
vote these
higher than
guys.
what we're doing right here,
Okay.
man.
Okay.
This is it.
Okay.
And
That's
we
it.
got the chief, and we got the city attorney, and they're going to maybe hopefully figure out something to help you.
We'd appreciate it. We really would. Like I said, we love the neighborhood, we love the city, and this is just one problem that we have in our area, and people are
And you're
concerned.
not alone.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Chief, thank you for your input. City Council. All right, anybody else before we close this meeting tonight? All right. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying
Aye.
Close.